Hello team. So it is Saturday, it's 12:30 and UK time, and that's when we do our leadership sanity surgery. So my name is Alice Bromwich. I am up here in the Highlands for lockdown at the moment, and I run Empowering Success, which is a resilience and leadership company. And we specialise in helping develop high performance teams, create strong leadership, and ensure that your business essentially is growing at the rate and pace that you would like. So hi Paul, good to see you. And from that perspective, one of the things which I've been exploring this week, which is really interesting, is everyone's looking in the UK, stateside, and I think globally everyone's having a bit of a retake of what's going to be coming up for the next quarter, is looking at our resilient decision making. So hey Killy, how are you? Great to see you too, another wee business owner, good to see. And so it's exploring our decision making. So for resilient decision making, there's three aspects that I want you to consider. Are your decisions being versatile? Because at the moment, everything is changing so much. So it's exploring how can we make sure everything is as versatile as it needs to be? Are we being creative? Because the old ways in which we potentially have done business in the past aren't necessarily going to be the things that are going to really, treat us well and are going to serve us well into the future. So are we being versatile? Are we being creative? And then the other piece about this is then also exploring, when you're putting these into practice, about exploring kind of where do you want to be going, looking at having that long-term view, and then as you're looking at your decisions, is literally looking at the second and third order effects, which for any of the military guys will be quite used to that idea, is that you have your first order effects, which is the thing you're immediately wanting to create, but you've then got your second and third order effects as well. And that's where that versatility and that creativity can really come to bear. Because if you've done that thinking beforehand, that idea of kind of train hard to fight easy, if you've gone through the various different options of things that may or may not be coming up, it means you've already started a contingency plan in your own mind. So say, for example, when you're doing, what's your market research? Where are you going to be able to access new clients? What are the things they're really, really going to be wanting to get from you for value added, and making sure that they've got the return that they want. So say, for example, Killy, I can say that because you're here, you do those amazing mugs, which are all covered in different animals. And so from that aspect, it's Christmas coming up. I know you do lots of stuff on social media. So perfect. That means that I can access being able to look at creative and brilliant, lovely, pottery ware, but also it ties in with the Black Mamba work that I do. And so we were talking to a team yesterday, which was brilliant. So we've raised £600 more for the Black Mambas, boom, which is fantastic. And that is all around being creative and versatile. So when I could no longer do public speaking in London to the anti-money laundering community and the Forex community with the guys we were chatting to yesterday, I was able to go, that's okay, I can do it online. I've still got my uniform up here, so I was able to do a talk. Then you're looking at something like, okay, how can you do your marketing? Social media, being able to explore who's your local community? Who could you ask within your teams that might be interested in the skill or the product that you have? So being versatile about how you are both approaching a problem, but also about how you can solve it. And so the piece about creativity as well is then going, okay, so this is maybe how I would have solved a problem in the past, but how can I be more creative about it? And one of the things I've been really struck by, which is why I wanted to bring the resilient decision-making piece in today, is also about how robust your decisions are. So how robust are you being about your decisions? Because this week I've been kind of, for better or for worse, I do my consultancy as well as doing the business coaching. And so I've kind of been couched, would couch be quite the right word? Courted maybe would be a better word. I've been courted by a team in London over the last few months who've been really, really, really keen for me to come down, come for interview. Can I support them? And I'm like, well, I run my own business at home. I'm looking after my parents who are, potentially about to go into a scenario of shielding again. So I'd looked at, okay, how can I be creative? So I looked at who else could I bring on board. So we've now brought another member of staff on board in case I get this role to do a large piece of change consultancy work as well. And then how can I make sure I've got the skills? So I've been doing lots of pre-reading, but also looking as far as who else could I reach out to make sure I understood that environment that potentially I was going to be moving into. So trying to be creative, trying to be versatile, but then about the robust. My goodness. So between last week, I booked my flights to go south to come to London, do the interviews, to Monday, they'd changed their minds. Oh, actually, we're not sure. Oh, we're not sure if we actually want you to come down. Okay, well, I've already booked my flights and I cover all my own costs, so that was it. And then during the week, they changed their minds all the way through the week. But what was interesting for me is it really forced me to check how robust my decision making was, how robust were the plans I had in place, so that I could either flex to move or flex to not move as far as for taking on extra work. I think this is an interesting piece for you guys as we're now exploring how to move into the next chapter, making sure that we're going to be finishing 2020 really strong. You know, I want this final quarter to be the strongest and the most profitable for you, for me, for everyone. And the companies we've been working with so far this year, they're now ready for this next volatile period because that's what we've been working through. And, you know, that's exactly what we've been looking at is their decision making, their clarity of direction about where do they want to be going into the future. And we're looking at 2021, 22. So literally this morning, I've then been talking with a travel company about 2022 for trips to the Arctic in case these conditions continue. And so is looking that further forward, which is what you do in change management. You make sure there's a strong enough goal further forward for you, so that as you're doing your resilient decision making, you're making sure it is resilient. It's not just a quick flash in the pan. You're not just quickly making something to try and appease an issue that's here today. You're also planning so that it's going to appease or even prevent an issue in the future. And interestingly, this week as well, we're on week 2 of I'm helping out on the crisis leadership course with Harvard, which is such a pleasure, an absolute phenomenal set of people, and just a real privilege to be asked to kind of be an extra set of ears and eyes to help with the course, which is a real joy, because it also helps me see a slightly different view of how other people are looking at things like emotional intelligence and that effect on how we're making our decisions, looking at the growth mindset. So whilst I'd say for now is let's focus on the 3 things about the resilient decision making. How creative are you? How robust are your decisions? And how versatile they are, is when we're then also exploring, is ensuring that we look at our emotional state. Are we in a growth mindset? Or are we taking all this fear that's being fed to us, and in the UK, the confusion, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, if you're in England. Scotland, we've had one person in the house in the last 8 months. We've never even really come out of a proper lockdown. But ironically, that has made it so much simpler, because actually it means we haven't changed the way in which we're working. We can still work in offices, but when you're stood up, you've got a mask on. When you're sat down, you can take your mask off. Super simple, very clear, very concise. Stand up, mask on. I'm outside, so that's why, there's not another living being out here. Apart from the dog. So, stand up, mask on, sit down, mask on. The restaurants are able to still keep going, even if now we're having to sit outside. But we were sitting outside anyway, so they've all already sorted out heat lamps, and now at home we've got hot water bottles for everybody if they want to come and sit in the garden, because it is quite chilly. Got down to -7 last week, had our first snow. So there we go. Little bit of a summary for me. Love to hear your questions if you've got any about resilient decision making. What you're finding at the moment might be troubling you with your decision making. I'm finding people are just exhausted, I think, as well. That kind of adrenal fatigue of continually trying to mix and match and swap and move left and right. But that's where, if we're trying to make sure we've already explored how to make our decisions versatile in the first place, being flexible and dynamic, but being robust and going, you know what, that's what I've decided. Today's little flip within the politics. A water bottle's so cute. Yes, Lydia, literally, we've got grey ones for boys and we've got white ones for girls. And then they go and sit outside, get frozen overnight, so no bugs are going to survive. Is how can you be creative and make it fun? If I'm going to be doing meetings outside, I don't want to be cold, wet and miserable. So we've also now got things like dog mats. I've bought another set of dog mats to go on the floor, so that when people are sat doing a meeting here outside, it's warm. They can put their feet on something that's cozy. So it's all about making sure we're creative. How can you create an environment where you can flourish? You're creating an environment where you do feel confident. You can still be bullish about your business. You can look after your team. And that's the most important thing for me, is if we start to, wobble as leaders, if we start to be questioning about our own businesses and our own decision making, what on earth is the rest of our team going to feel? How are they going to feel if we start to wobble? Well, of course they're going to wobble, and we have to be rock steady. Even if we're wobbling inside, it's making sure that for our teams, we're still providing that clarity of direction, that we're providing that leadership presence that means we are leading. We're not just managing, we're leading. Because that's the other thing that's come up a lot this week, is that people are starting to manage because it's their comfort zone in comparison to properly leading. So let's explore. Are you being robust in your decision making? Are you being versatile so you can change if you need to? And are you being as creative as you can be so it can be fun? That you're still getting the outputs that you need, or you're finding new avenues of approach. You're finding new ways in which to approach the problems that you've got and the problems that you might be able to anticipate in the future. So you can only see a little bit of my hand. Looks a bit like an emu. Sorry. But so is how can you make it fun and keep us all smiling, keep us all positive? Because that momentum and energy as business owners and business leaders, wherever you are in the food chain, it's absolutely part of our responsibility as strong leaders to keep that momentum going, keep that positivity, be robust, be versatile, and be creative. So we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we're heading towards second half of October, the Executive Dragon program that we've been putting together over the summer is up and running. And I would love to hear from you if you think that strengthening up your own decision making is something that you would like to do as we head into the next quarter, and finishing strong. We have to finish 2020 strong, because my goodness, this little roller coaster ain't going anywhere. So let's make sure that we are ready to ride it like the kings and queens that we are, and make sure that your business is 120% ready to storm the end of 2020 and into 21, because the money hasn't gone anywhere. It's just shifted. The access has shifted. The way in which we lead, therefore, also needs to shift. The way in which we approach our businesses also needs to shift. So let's work together. If you'd like to, we'd love to have you on board. Like I say, we're about to be kicking off the next start of the Executive Dragon, and we've got two programs running at the moment. The Executive Dragon is for those that are wanting to do the leadership of developing their own leadership style, whether you're already working in another business or wanting to lead your own business in a more robust manner. And then we've also got Firestarter. Love that, from when we were younger, that kind of Firestarter tune of making sure that you are really on fire for getting your business growing and being able to, as an entrepreneur, grow it as you wish, but so it's supporting you, your family, and your future lifestyle that you're aspiring to have. And that is where the robust decision making really comes into its own. So ciao for now from out here on a bit of a grey day. And I'm going to have a bit of an identity upscale today, because I think I might have finally found a pair of Wellington boots. I know that sounds crazy. All of that about resilient decision making, all of those pieces. 8 months I've had my split Wellington boots. It's taken me this long to find somebody local that actually has them in stock. So you never know. That's where I've tried to be versatile. I've tried to be creative. Finally found someone with some in their basement in a next door town. Would you believe it? Been hidden here for 8 months. Crazy. There we go. So drop me a line. Would love to hear about the challenges you're having. Please just put a note underneath. Share what you're finding challenging at the moment. How are you approaching robust and resilient decision making? And if you'd like to work with us, then please drop me an email, because I want to make sure you guys are finishing super strong as we head towards the last part of 2020 and are on super jets, rockets into 21. And this is the time. Dark winter nights, being able to get some headspace, hunkering down. This is the time to really ensure that we've got everything in place for making the next piece into 2021 as storming as we want. Ciao for now. Bye.